In today's video, we're going to talk about the 4 different mindsets and the 4 different strategies that you need to know when it comes to customer acquisition. As we progress along, we're going to talk about how the best entrepreneurs and marketers think about customer acquisition. Let's get started. So when I first started in business, I thought that I needed to turn a profit on every single transaction I did with a brand new customer. So the first time I put an offer in front of a new prospect, I thought, hey, you know what? We're going to take them to an offer and a sales page and upsells, yada, 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 a funnel that turned a profit every single time. Now, cool. I definitely grew my customer base that way, but something kind of bad happened as I was approaching the customer acquisition with that level 1 mentality. And the bad thing that happened was I ran into a very hard ceiling. We eventually just weren't able to acquire more customers, okay? Here's the reason why. With that level 1 mindset of a profit on the very first transaction, there's only a small percentage of the marketplace who are able to provide that value on the very first transaction, okay? So let's give an example. Let's say it costs you $50 to acquire a new customer. Okay, and that's after your ad costs and cost of goods sold, delivery, etc. Okay, great. Well, you say, I want to make $100 on every new transaction, 2 for 1 for my money. What percentage of your marketplace is willing to spend $100 at one time? There's always going to be a cap at that point. So when you're thinking about this, especially as we get into the next tips, understand that if you're struggling, if you just can't be acquiring new customers, that profit first mentality in the very beginning is your first mindset problem. So the next mindset I want to talk about right now is what I call level 2 mindset of customer acquisition. And this is a mindset where you're just breaking even on the very first transaction you make with a customer, okay? So in our example, again, cost of acquiring a customer is $50. Instead of going for that profit on the first transaction, you just try to break even, okay? So you make $50 back on that first transaction. Nil, $0, okay? Now, this is a fascinating strategy because what's going to happen when you do this, when you think less profit on the very first transaction, is you're actually going to acquire a significantly higher number of customers into your CRM in terms of your business overall. Now, if there's no profit on the first transaction, where is the profit made? Well, the profit is all made on the back end by offering them more products and services through your email marketing, through your retargeting, et cetera, right? And remember that customers, a customer, somebody who's actually proven to take out their wallet and say, I'm gonna buy something to solve this particular problem or this, interest I have, right? They're dramatically higher in terms of, percentage chance of buying than a cold lead, right? Give you an example in my particular business. When I stopped trying to make a profit in my very first transaction, we actually grew our business by 400% by not making any money on that very first transaction. It sounds kind of contradictory, but this is what happened, okay? Because again, we just built that trust. We delivered on that first transaction. It was a lower barrier of entry, and then we made all our profit in the back end, okay? So again, level 2 mindset is just not thinking about profit, okay? You don't have to go and take a bunch of risk. You're just thinking break even on the front end, okay? But this is a much easier way to scale a business when there's no profit in terms of your mindset in the very beginning. You can acquire so many more customers with this break even mindset. All right, the next mindset we're gonna talk about, what I call level 3 thinking of customer acquisition, is going in the red on the very first transaction you do with a new customer. This is so much more powerful than even level 2 breaking even. Now, why is this so powerful, right? Why is going in the red a great scaling strategy if you have your back end dialed in? Well, follow me here, okay? So in our last example, we said, the cost of acquiring a customer is $50. We're just trying to make $50 on our very first transaction. Well, it's a lot better than level 1, which is the profit, but you're still gonna run into a ceiling at a certain point in terms of customer acquisition. But what if you say on the very first transaction, I only need to make $10? Well, think about the size of the market share you can acquire if now in the first transaction, people only have to spend $10. The barrier to entry, the friction for a brand new customer is so low at this point. This is a massive customer acquisition strategy. This is how you pick up 60, 70, 80, 90% of the marketplace because you're building these relationships. The just, $10 is nothing for the vast majority of consumers out there. They say, okay, screw it, I'll try it out. It's $10, I'll try it. Wow, this really is great. And then where all the profit is made, it's made on the back end through additional products and services and offers that you make, okay? So again, you're not trying to make the profit on the first transaction. You know the profit's gonna come 30 days later, 60 days later, 90, 180 days, right? So the best direct response marketers are going in the red on the very first transaction. They're not worried about that profit in the very beginning, okay? So this is a way where, again, there's just such a low, barrier to entry in the very beginning. You can just acquire so many customers. And again, customers are the lifeblood of the business, okay? Investing in new customer acquisition and really trying to scale in that particular area is a incredible way of growing your business, all right? So think about that from a mindset perspective. You do have to know your numbers. Just, before we move into the level 4 there, you gotta know your numbers. You gotta know your lifetime customer value at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, year, 2 years, 5 years, etc. But once you know those numbers, you have really dialed in back ends, great products and services to offer your brand new customers later on for second and third transactions. Watch your business truly transform through level 3 aggression. So level 4 customer acquisition strategy is truly fascinating. And this is a strategy that you'll see a lot of startups will use. As a matter of fact, Instagram used it before they were acquired by Facebook. You'll see a lot of SaaS companies use this. So with a level 4 mindset, yeah, you're still focusing on aggressive customer growth and user acquisition. But interestingly enough, you're not so worried about this whole break even or turn a profit thing. As a matter of fact, you might not ever think about it. All you're focusing on is user growth. Now, wait a second. If we're not making a profit, how does this work? Well, in a level 4 business, you're actually building a business that's made to be acquired by a larger company. You're building a business that's gonna be sold. You know that. That's why you're building it, okay? Now, why is this so powerful? Well, when you think about it, when somebody buys a company, oftentimes, especially in unicorn type investment companies, you're getting a 10x, 20x, 30x on your investment. Now, if you could get a 10, 20, or 30x on all your basic customer acquisitions, if you put out an ad, you'd be the richest man on the planet. Those are very, very, very hard to make. Now, you could definitely make a 2x, a 3x, or 4x, 5x, 7x. Those are definitely possible with customer acquisition funnels where you're trying to build a profit on the back end, right? But in terms of just building to get acquired, those multiples, those massive multiples, especially in the modern economy, those are so much larger than what you would get with a basic, just sort of, paid media acquisition strategy, right? It's a bigger mindset, bigger play that you're making in terms of thinking about just, building to sell to another company. Now, of course, in this particular mindset, this level 4 mindset, you're most likely going to be funded, okay? You're going to be angel funded, you're going to be VC funded, or have some sort of outside investment that's funding the fact that you're not really ever worried about making a profit. You're just worried about that user growth. You're attractive to the larger company that wants to come in and acquire you, right? But again, with that level 4 mindset, because of those multiples, there's massive, massive, massive profitability that comes in play there. I mean, like just multi-generational wealth that can happen. It's riskier, but this is where the big boys play. This is where the billion-dollar companies are hanging out in terms of, asset growth and things like that. And there we have it, 4 different mindsets when thinking about customer acquisition. Turning a profit on the front end, breaking even, going in the red in the first transaction, or never even worried about profit at all, just making it all when you end up selling the company, okay? So different mindsets, different levels of wealth that actually can happen from all these different mindsets as well, right? Each level you go up is playing a bigger game. You have a much more potential in terms of making generational wealth and truly impacting the marketplace as well, right? So think about that as you're going through your business and you're acquiring customers going forward. My name is Steve Nixon. Thank you so much for watching. I'm with StrategySamurai.com. If you got value out of today's video, please make sure you press the like button, subscribe to the channel. Would love to be able to share more content with you going forward. Again, my name is Steve Nixon. I will see you at StrategySamurai.com. Thanks for watching.